The media has been caught lying more times than most people remember. But in these 7 cases, they didn't just get caught, they were forced to apologize. These aren't accusations, these aren't opinions. These are documented cases where the media themselves admitted they were wrong. This isn't about left or right. It's not about which network you trust. Every major network has been caught. CNN, Fox, NBC, ABC, The Washington Post, Rolling Stone, even the BBC. What you're about to see is a pattern. 7 cases, 7 apologies, 7 times they looked at the camera and said, "We got it wrong." And the scariest part? These are just the ones they got caught for. Case 1, 2012, the shooting of Trayvon Martin, a story that divided a country, and NBC News made it worse. During their coverage, NBC aired a clip of George Zimmerman's 911 call. The clip they broadcast sounded like this. Zimmerman says, "This guy looks like he's up to no good. He's black." But that's not what happened. The full, unedited call tells a different story. The dispatcher asked Zimmerman if the person was black, white, or Hispanic. Zimmerman was answering a question. NBC made it sound like a statement. The edit turned a response into a declaration. It changed the context entirely. NBC fired the producer responsible. They issued an apology. But the narrative was already out there. The story was already told. You can retract an article. You can't retract a first impression. But that's a single producer making a bad edit. Case 2 is worse. An entire magazine that fabricated a story from scratch. Case 2, 2014. Rolling Stone publishes a story called A Rape on Campus. It describes a horrific gang assault at the University of Virginia. It was graphic, it was detailed, it was completely fabricated. The story was built on a single source, a source the reporter never actually verified. She never contacted the accused, she never confirmed basic facts. The fraternity named in the story didn't even have a party on the night described. The Columbia Journalism Review called it a benchmark case of journalistic failure. Rolling Stone retracted the story. They settled lawsuits with the fraternity and with the university administrator they had named. They paid out millions. The reporter's career was effectively over. But the damage to real victims of assault, the people who now had to overcome the shadow of a fake story, that damage doesn't come with a settlement. One fabricated story, millions in settlements. But sometimes it's not a fake story that does the damage. Sometimes it's a real story with a fake source. Case 3, June 2017. CNN publishes a story linking Anthony Scaramucci to a Russian investment fund. The story cited a single anonymous source, one source, no corroboration, no second confirmation, just one person who said something, and CNN ran with it. Within one day, CNN retracted the story. Not corrected, not updated, retracted. They deleted it from their website entirely. 3 journalists resigned over it: the editor who published it, the reporter who wrote it, and the reporter who helped report it. All gone. The problem isn't that they made a mistake. Mistakes happen. The problem is that a major news organization published a story about someone's ties to a foreign government based on one anonymous phone call. That's not journalism, that's a rumor with a logo. But what happens when the lie moves the stock market? Case 4, December 2017. ABC News reporter Brian Ross reports that Michael Flynn was prepared to testify that Donald Trump, as a candidate, directed him to make contact with Russians. The report aired live, and within minutes the stock market dropped. The Dow fell 350 points. Real money, real people's retirement accounts, gone because of one report. Later that day, ABC issued what they called a clarification. The clarification was that Trump had made the directive as president-elect, not as a candidate, a material difference that changed the entire legal significance of the story. Brian Ross was suspended. He later left ABC News entirely. But if you had money in the market that day, you felt the impact of bad reporting in real time. Your portfolio didn't get a clarification. If you're finding this valuable, hit subscribe. I make content like this every week, always questioning the narrative. Now, Case 5 is where it gets expensive. Case 5, 2023, the most expensive apology on this list. Fox News settles with Dominion Voting Systems for $787.5 million. Fox had repeatedly aired claims that Dominion's voting machines were rigged during the 2020 election, but during the court proceedings, internal text messages from Fox hosts and executives were made public. The text showed that many of the people pushing these claims on air didn't believe them off air. They were saying one thing to their viewers and another thing to each other. Dominion sued for defamation. Fox settled before the trial, $787.5 million, the largest known defamation settlement in U.S. history. And buried in the fine print of the settlement was an acknowledgement by Fox that they had broadcast false statements. That's not a correction. That's a legal admission. And it cost them nearly $1 billion. Nearly $1 billion for lying. But what happens when the lie is so good it wins you a Pulitzer? Case 6, 1981. A Washington Post reporter named Janet Cook writes a story called Jimmy's World. It's about an 8-year-old heroin addict in Washington, D.C. It's gripping, it's heartbreaking. It wins the Pulitzer Prize for feature writing, and none of it was real. There was no Jimmy. There was no 8-year-old addict. Janet Cook fabricated the entire story. When investigators started asking questions, where is this child? What happened to him? The story fell apart. The Washington Post returned the Pulitzer. It remains the only time in the award's history that a Pulitzer was revoked. Cook resigned. The editor who published the story said he didn't verify a single fact because he trusted the reporter. A story that won the highest award in journalism was completely made up. If it can win a Pulitzer and still be a lie, what does that tell us? And if you think this is all ancient history, Case 7 is from this year. Case 7, 2025. The BBC airs a documentary featuring Donald Trump. During the film, a specific claim is made about a legal case. The claim was false. After the broadcast, the BBC was forced to issue a formal correction. They acknowledged the statement was inaccurate and updated the documentary. The BBC, one of the most respected news organizations in the world, broadcasting in 2025, and they still got it wrong. And here's what's striking about all 7 of these cases. Every single one of these organizations still exists. They still broadcast. They still call themselves the news. They apologized, they retracted, and they moved on. And most people forgot. 7 cases, 7 apologies, a fired producer, a retracted Pulitzer, a $787 million settlement, a stock market crash, and a documentary corrected just months ago. This isn't about hating the media. It's about understanding what they are. They are people. People make mistakes. People have agendas. People choose what to verify and what to skip. And when they choose wrong, they issue a correction on page 12 while the original story ran on page 1. The lesson isn't to stop watching the news. The lesson is to stop trusting it blindly. Always question the narrative. Always do your own research. Always fact check. Question everything. If this video made you think differently about what you see on the news, subscribe. I'll keep digging. Question everything.